Hey, Tim Wolf here, and I'm still in Colorado. And believe it or not, we had some snow this morning. It was pretty cool, but it stopped, so I can't show it to you. But I had an opportunity to interview a friend of mine that's been, I've known him for about a year and doing some good work in South Carolina, so I'm going to let him tell you about what he's doing. My friend Dustin, so I'm going to flip the camera over. Very professional transition here. And Dustin's going to tell us some things that are going on in his life and his church plant, and hopefully maybe with his marriage. So it's my friend Dustin. Everybody just threw up there, Dustin, but thanks for taking a minute to be on the blog here. Tell everybody a little briefly about you and what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. Moved there 3 years ago. We started the church plant about a year and a half ago, 2 years in January, and moved there, kind of parachuted in, didn't know a lot of people, and started meeting, and church took off, and God's been doing amazing things. We really have a big focus on serving our city, and really believe John 20:21 says, just as the Father sent me, so I send you, and so we see ourselves as a sent people to our city, and been there, like I said, living 3 years, and church plant's been going right at 2 years this coming January. So.
And what's the name of the church plant?
It's Midtown Fellowship. Website's midtowncolumbia.com.
Cool. Tell us what's one of the most exciting things that's happening right now there at Midtown Fellowship?
Well, right on the radar right now is not this Friday, but next Friday, November 21st, we got Homeless for the Homeless. If you go to homelessforthehomeless.com, you can read about it. But homelessness is a big issue in our city, as I'm sure it is in most major cities. I know it is in Atlanta where you are. And, we have over probably close between 1,500 2,000 homeless just in downtown, and downtown's only 48,000 people. The whole county two counties make up 700,000, but downtown's kind of small actually, and that's where we are. So what we do is we ask people to sleep outside for a night, and they pay to do it. We raise awareness, we raise money, and the hope is that we will end the story of homelessness in our city. And so we've been working on that, and should expecting around over 1,000 people to sleep outside Friday. I was just looking at the weather; it's going to be 37, which is perfect. Last year it was 32, so it might be warm.
So is that actually going to happen today?
Next Friday.
Next Friday.
A week from today.
Okay. And tell me who you were able to work with. Did you have to work with like any city officials?
Yeah. It's been an interesting process for us to get to know the city, to get to know the mayor, and just the folks in our city. And our city does a thing called Project Homeless Connect, something they do every year. And so what we did Homeless for the Homeless last year. It's a separate event from that, but we actually provided the volunteers for their Project Homeless Connect thing, which is, again, separate from Homeless for the Homeless. Well, this year we went to them and kind of talked with them and proposed the idea of, hey, let's do this together, the city with the church partnering to end homelessness in our city. And so that's what we did, and so Project Homeless Connect is in conjunction with Homeless for the Homeless, and matter of fact, they're feeding all the people that are sleeping outside. The city's paying for that, and so pretty neat kind of deal that we have going with our city now.
Dustin, what's your biggest challenge as a church planner?
Biggest challenge, sin. Honestly, is I feel like leaders are under attack all the time, and I feel a very heavy burden. We just heard a session about burdens, but more the burden that I feel is just the burden of sin, and I have to wake up every morning, tell myself the gospel, and repent from understanding it for me is seeing my sin. But the problem for me that I have to struggle with is owning it and saying this is my fault. This isn't because this happened in my life when I was 7 or whatever, but really owning it and knowing that, understanding my depravity, that I'm messed up, and then from then turning towards Christ and turning away from that sin. So for me, the biggest challenge is sin, and the sin of other leaders in my church. And I don't say that because we have bad leaders. I say that because I think we have honest leaders. But we fight sin together all the time as men and as women in our church, and so that's a big challenge in leadership. And we call it out. We call it like we see it. We go through the scriptures and we let God redeem us in that. And so that's a big challenge. And I don't know that a lot of people say that when it comes to church planning, but I think the root of all of our screw-ups is our sin. So.
But Dustin, real quickly, if people were watching this video blog and they were following Christ, how could they pray for you, your marriage, your church plant?
Yeah, my wife and I have been married right at 5 years, and we don't have any kids yet, but we're on the brink of that.
Nice.
And so that's kind of part of our thoughts and process and what we've been praying through, and we'll see what God does with that. But so that's a big prayer for us. We want to be parents. We want we want to love our kids that we hopefully will have in the future. We've talked about adoption down the road, and so we've even looked into some of that to see what that might be, because James 1:27 says, pure and undefiled religion is that you take care of the widows and the orphans, and we have 378 and 87 somewhere in here orphans in our city, so we eventually want to adopt in our city. That's something for our family and we're thinking about, so there's some prayers for that. And just pray. We've got a building that we're looking at. We're not a church that wants to spend a lot of money on a building, but we do feel like it's something we need. We're completely out of space where we're at. 3 times over, and so we're trying to find space, and so that's a prayer for our church, is that we would make a wise decision, one that uses God's resources in the correct way. So that, and as I said, I love my wife more than I do now, because I want to continue to love her more than I do the church or my job or ministry.
Well, Dustin, thanks for talking today, and thanks for being my friend, man.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Tim.